Okay, let's make a start on the launch of AlignMix for the UK. So let's give a few introductions. So my name is Steve Morn, and I'm originally from the UK. I actually now reside in the US in Florida. I spent all my career doing Salesforce strategy work, including territory design and sizing. Worked for a number of different companies, founded Cosmix in 2005, completed about 190 projects around the world in 45 plus countries. We also have Richard Ives on the line. He's our partner in the UK with maplogic.co.uk. Now the system is such that Richard can't actually speak. We've got to have everybody on mute by the looks of it, which is a bit of a pity. But I'll try and do a reasonable introduction of Richard. He's the director of MapLogic. He has been in GIS and all related fields to GIS for around about 25 years. And he has a tremendous amount of experience, particularly with large franchises. And he's implemented some systems across Europe with those franchises, and also sales territory and Salesforce management systems. So they were the ideal partner for us in the UK. We also have Joey Domagala. He's also from Cosmix. He's on the call. He'll be taking any questions. If you have any questions, please do direct them to him. He's got an MBA and works at Cosmix. He's been working with us 4 or 5 years now and completed many projects around the world in Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, and the like. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give a demo of AlignMix and focusing on just what can be done and how easy it is to really just build something from scratch and create an alignment, change the alignment, export your data. And then we're going to talk about launch offers. We have some special offers that we've done with MapLogic, and they're going to be rolling out today and for the rest of the month. And then we're going to have any questions and answers at the end. So let's jump right in. So first of all, let's do a demonstration of AlignMix. Let me just get this working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a completely blank project. And AlignMix UK has up-to-date boundary data. So this demo that I'm going to do is going to be based on postcode districts. So that's something like the letters, so RG, and then the first set of numbers, RG12 would be a good example for Reading area. And as I say, just to give you some background on AlignMix, it's been developed in the US. We've developed it over the last actually 10 years. We launched it earlier this year. This is the third reincarnation of it. We're very pleased with this reincarnation. We've really tried to focus on usability. That's the one thing that we want people to think about when they use AlignMix, how easy it is to use, what a pleasure it is to use. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just really create an alignment from scratch. Just going to take some raw data. We're going to import it in. We're going to analyze it, and then just show you how easy it is to export the results. So we prepared some UK raw data. Here we have some. Why did it do that? Let's open it up. Now, let me just show you what this data actually is to start with. It's the typical data that you'd get from just a dump of a CRM system. So here we have a load of accounts. This is actually based on opticians. It's some project work that we did that we've anonymized that was done last year. So here we have accounts, and we've got 7,000 accounts. We've got the postcodes, and we know which territory they're in. and which sales rep is covering that postcode. And we have the actual sales reps and where they live, their home postcode. So that's the data that we're playing with. And let's just go on in. And what AlignMix first of all does is it asks you on the first sheet, it assumes the data is on the first sheet, it asks you just to classify the different headings that it sees. And this is account data. So that's the account ID, the name, the address, the postcode. That one's critical. Every import needs to have some way of locating the record. And then we have segment and territory and sales rep. And then we have two pieces of data that we know about each account. We know the sales and we have a measure of potential. So that's called account data. And then once you have that, it gives you a brief summary, number of records, 10 segments it's found, 25 territories, 24 sales reps. And I'm just going to import this into the existing geography, which is UK postcode districts, and hit next. And it does it very quickly. And once you hit OK, you can then just zoom in and see all of those accounts. And you can see these are the different segments that we have. What we've used is we've used the different types of stores as the segments. So in this case, we've got Boots, we've got Donald and Atkinson, we've got Independents. You can see there's absolutely loads of Independents. We have Vision Express, Asda, and all the like. So we can see those and we can see where they are on the map. We can also, if I press F5, see the territories that they're assigned to. Now the accounts are being color-coded based on the territory that they're assigned to. So you can see that they are clustered into different territories. But the next data import I'm going to do is really going to show the territories in their full glory as I import the sales, the postcode district data. If I go back, I can now select the sheet. I'm going to select the postcodes. And I'm going to classify these. So postcodes, territory, and sales rep. It's asking me, is this sales rep data or is this zip code postcode data? And it is, of course, postcode data. So I'll select that. And now when I open it up, you can see the territories, as I say, in their full glory. I can switch from the accounts being color-coded based on their segment to color-coded based on their territory. Now, you will notice that there are some gaps, and this is not uncommon. Here we've got a gap here, which it probably is a case of some old postcode data has been used to create these accounts. And so there's no assignment for this zip code or postcode in the actual database. Now, this is a really tedious process normally, but there are some tools in AlignMix to make it really easy, and that's the Clean Alignment tool. So I'm going to take unassigned postcodes, and I'm going to assign them to the closest territory. That's just going to mop up any of these unassigned postcodes and put them in the territory in which they reside. When I do that, you can see all those gaps are removed. So there we have that. Now, one of the things that's nice about AlignMix is we can also change the theme. So we have different themes, and you can change the theme. You know, if you like a nice pastel colored theme. We even have some colorblind themes which sort of emphasize the different types of colorblindness so that colorblind people can actually see the map. I'm going to put it back to, say, Cosmix Pastels. Okay, so the final data import is the reps. So I'm going to go back again. I'm going to select the sales rep data. I'm going to classify this, it's just their name and their home postcode. Hit next. This is rep data. And again, it loads. If there were any errors, you could actually see where the errors were. And it might be that you have some stray accounts coming from another country or something like that. Now, when you see this, you'll see that you have little icons for the reps and the name. You'll also see that if we have a female name, here we have a female name, it's actually using a female icon. So it sort of has a good guess as to whether it's a male or female rep. Okay, so that's really all there is to getting the data in the system. Let's now try and do some analysis. Now, there's different ways you can do analysis. This little button here opens up different views of the data. So when you click it, you can see the different maps. A good one is just a thematic analysis. So you can select what you're looking at. This is a number of accounts. So you can see that the darker colors are the high number of accounts. The lighter colors are fewer accounts. I'm more interested in sales. That was one of the data series that we pulled in. And we can see where the sales reside. I'd also actually like to have a look at some demographic data as well. And that might be quite interesting. It'd be very interesting if you're doing any franchise territories. It would also be very important if you're doing sales territories, in the sense that you might want to focus on a certain demographic in terms of your sales. Now, one thing that we have in the UK is that Richard has integrated the census data into AlignMix, and this comes as an add-on pack. And here we have all these series that can be imported in. This is number of households, one family only, and you can see this is the latest data. I'm actually interested in, say, 20 to 24-year-olds. So I can, let's rename that young adults. And that's brought that data in. So now I can actually do some thematic analysis on the young adults data series. So I can see where the young adults reside. And you can change it to whatever thematic you like. I quite like the orange, and that shows the intensity. Now that's at the postcode level. You can also do thematics at, say, the territory level. Let's do sales. So you can now see that certain series, certain territories are very red, which means that they are more than, in this case, 15% above the average. So this is very red. This is the highest, and this is the lowest, which is Northern Ireland. And any shade of that shows that this is slightly above 15%, this one. And these are slightly below 15% of the average. So it allows you to very quickly assess where your highs and lows are. Let's now have a look at a different view of the data. Let's now have a look at one of the tables, and let's show a table of the territories. So here we have all the different territories. I think there's 24 of them, 25. We have the name, we have the rep. You can see that if they are open, then this just means that a rep hasn't been assigned to them, so it's very obvious. We haven't got any districts assigned. I'm going to show you how to do that. We can lock any territory. One thing that I note is that most of the territories are contiguous. Now, by that I mean they all their postcodes are grouped together as one big chunk, but a couple of them aren't, and you can see Southwest. And if you double-click on this no, it takes you to the smallest part of territory, and you can see that the Southwest territory actually has this postcode assigned to it in Weymouth. And that's probably just a relic from an old alignment, and maybe when you've made changes, it's been missed. So I'm just going to clean that up now. And you can use the Touch Align tool, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But basically touch the territory that you'd like to add the area to, and then just go over it, and it's assigned back to the pink territory. So now when I go back to the territory table, that is now contiguous. Let's clean this one up as well. Here's another one hiding there. Again, probably as a result of an old alignment. These are actually very annoying if you actually export your data and you have it in a live system. It means that you get all sorts of confusion, reps being told that they need to call on the accounts in this area, when in reality they shouldn't. So let's clean this one up as well. I think there was one more. No, that was it. And now they're all nice and contiguous. So then we have all of the data in. We can see the accounts, who's got the most boots. There's one territory with 20 boot stores. That's amazing. And then we have the territory data. Now we can actually format this. So sales and potential should actually be based on the country, the currency, sorry. So UK pounds, okay. So we've now formatted that quite nicely. And we can see that the territory goes from 5 million is the most sales, down to 2 million is the least. We can actually chart that if we like. Let's create a chart. Now we're looking at the territories, and let's have a look at those sales numbers. And you can see now, that the average territory has about 3.5 million in sales. We have plus or minus, again, 15% here. And you can see that there are 14 territories in range, plus or minus 15%. And we have some that are quite high, some that are quite low. And that's sort of reflected in this chart here. This shows you which are the high ones, which are the low ones. So really, it just gives you the flexibility to access the data however you find appropriate, however you'd like to. So what next? So another way of looking at the data is in terms of hotspots. This is quite unique to AlignMix. And what this does is it color codes each territory in the color that it's normally shaded in, but the intensity of that color indicates where the certain attribute is distributed. So let's do sales as an example. And you can see, actually, that's quite evenly distributed. Let's do number of accounts. Count. So now you can see in East Anglia, there are quite a lot of accounts down here, or take Luton, that area. We can see areas, patches of high and patches of low. This is just a very quick way to see the potential and also see the territory boundaries. Okay. So we've sort of come in and we've spent some time having a look at the different ways to analyze the data, but now we actually want to make some changes to some of these boundaries. Let's have a look, and let's actually have a look at the sales. Now, one thing that you can do is you can actually put a label on each account, on each territory. These are the territory labels. And at the moment, it's the label that is showing is the name of the territory. I'd actually like it to show some territory data. I'd like it to show, sales. And I'd also like it to show number of accounts. I'm going to actually color it in a different color. Territory accounts. I just want to know all accounts. So now we can see the sales number, and then below it, the number of accounts in that territory. And what I'd like to do is I would really like to balance these up. Now, there are different ways that you can actually change the territory boundaries in AlignMix. Probably the easiest way is what we call touch align, and that's a patent pending way of changing the boundaries. Let's just have a look at, say, this South Wales territory. This has sales of 3 million, and it's sitting next to a territory with sales of 3.5 million. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the territory, and then I'm just going to paint a few postcodes into the South Wales territory. And you can see as I moved across there, I've actually been able to balance it quite easily. Take this territory, which is Birmingham, sitting next to a territory in Leicester, which has quite a few more. So let's do this again here. And you can see as I do the touch align, the numbers change. So you're getting instant feedback as to how it's changing. So touch align is probably the easiest way to actually make changes. It's actually almost therapeutic to make changes. Here's 266. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, let's undo it, see if we can get any closer. It's pretty close there. And of course, in your particular alignment, whether that be a franchise territory or a sales territory, you'd want to spend some time making sure that you get these exactly right. But for the purposes of the demo, that gives you a good idea. Now, there are other ways that you can make changes. And let me say, suppose you want to cut a territory in this sort of Sheffield Leeds area. You could use the circle select. And as you click on a spot, it gives you the radius in miles. And it also shows you the sales and the territory account. Now, I'm wanting to hit something like 3.4. That'd be a good territory size. And you can see up pops a form which shows you all the data. It shows you which territories you're taking from. It shows you all the accounts. You've got all the postcodes there, and the specific accounts if you want to dig in and see which one's which. Now, next, I want to actually create a new territory here. So when I hit next, you can see that territory is created. And that was incredibly easy to do. It didn't take much time at all. So that's the circle select tool. And what else have we got? Let's talk a bit about overrides. Now, it can be the case that we go back to viewing the accounts in terms of the territories. It might be the case that here we have a rep in sort of the St. Albans area, what are they called? Mike Lander. And we want to give them all of the, let's have a look, all of the independent stores in Milton Keynes, okay? And the reason might be is he's got some special relationship with those accounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say only accounts, and you can see when I do that, I'm just going to select a region there. Up pops the same box as before, but I'm going to filter these, and I'm going to say territory. I only want the East Midlands territory, and I only want the independent stores. Okay, now you can see the 16 of them there, and they're worth 93,000. Next, and I'm going to add those to an existing territory, and that is going to be the which one's Mike Lander? I think he is North London. No, he wouldn't be North London. He would be, in fact, let's make sure I get this. He will be St. Albans, South London. Yeah, he must be North London, or Home Counties. Home Counties. Let me just make sure I get this right. So he is, this territory here is Central England. That's what threw me off. All right, let's do that again. Filter, territories. I want East Midlands. I'd like all independents. Add to Central England. Why isn't it showing up? Central England down there at the bottom. So I do that. Now let's change the territory, the coloring of the accounts. And now you can see that this purple territory, which is called Central England, which did throw me a little, now has these accounts up here. Now when we go over to, say, the territory table, these are what's called overrides in our system. It's very powerful. We can see now that if we have the gains and the losses. So you can see Central England, Mike Lander, he has those 16 territories. And if you double click on these, you can actually go and see exactly where they are. That's particularly powerful if you're wanting to sort of keep some accounts together. Now, another way of doing overrides is possibly you have a list of them. So let's have a look at this desktop. I've been given a list of account IDs, and I've been told that they've got to stay with the Northeast Territory, which is Paul Carter. So I'm going to copy those IDs, I'm going to go back to AlignMix. I'm going to paste from clipboard. And as soon as I do that, it looks them up, and this would work with postcodes, and it would work with account IDs. And you can see I can have a look at them, I can inspect them, and I can see where they are. And they're all up in the Northeast. And I'm going to say they need to go to assign to an existing territory, the Northeast Territory. And you can see that that's another way of actually creating those overrides. Very, very powerful. So that's the override capability. That's probably particularly important if you're creating territories, maybe less important if you're doing franchises. The next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to create districts, and I'd like to create 3 of them. And this really, I'm going to have a manager for each district. So I'm going to create a map. I'm going to show the districts. Now, there aren't any at the moment. So I'm going to use the Touch Align tool. I'll create one in the north, Scotland, Ireland. And you can see this is showing that there's 4 territories in there. There's 22 here. I'm roughly wanting 8 in each. So I'm going to come down 6, 7, 8. And then I'll do a Midlands one. I've got 9. And then one across the bottom, 10. So that's all it takes to create a region structure. And we can have a look at the table of that. So table, show the districts, and we can see, we can rename them. We can actually turn them off in terms of visibility, and you can see how many territories, and you have all the data in there as well. So that sort of shows you how to actually do the realignment, and there's some powerful tools in there that make it really easy to do that. Now, what happens when you finished your alignment and you want to export the data? Well, there's a number of ways you can do that. I'm going to show you one. In fact, let's just make a district view. Let's just have a look at District 1. So I've turned everything off apart from the districts in the north. And I'd now like to export. I'd like to export, batch export. I'm going to actually just export this to my desktop. Okay, I'd like some district maps, territory maps, and Excel reports. In the Excel reports, I'm going to embed the postcodes and the accounts. I'm going to create a, I don't need to do that. Don't need to do that. So now it is going along, batch exporting all of that data. If I have a look at my desktop, I've actually added quite a lot to it. So, so this is the Greater Manchester Territory. I should have hidden all the other territories. You can actually hide all the others, so you just see this. And then Greater Manchester. This actually shows the exact postcodes for that territory. They have now a list of the accounts and all the data, and they have a map. And as I say, you can customize that map a bit more than what I have done so. So that's the batch export. You can also just export to PowerPoint. Let me show you how to do that. Suppose you want to take this map. You can just do copy map, and then go to, if this was PowerPoint, you could paste that in Excel, whatever tool you have. It goes via the clipboard, and it uses all the standard Windows tools. So that is a demo of AlignMix. I hope that's given you a good overview, and we'll be taking questions at the end. So let's now go back and talk a bit about what we've done for the launch. Well, first of all, let's talk about how this has been received. We've had this on the market since April in the US, and it has got some, I have to say, rave reviews. A very nice review from Softpedia. Now, they're a website They're a global website, and they just review all sorts of software from Microsoft Office to Photoshop to other more specialist tools. And I guess AlignMix would fall into that. And they were very kind in their review. They gave it 4.5 stars out of 5, which we were particularly pleased about. And they also certified that AlignMix is 100% free of any adware, any viruses, and they have some very deep checks that they make, so you can be rest assured you won't get any viruses or adware or anything like that. We don't collect information and send it back. There's nothing like that in AlignMix. As far as some people who are maybe closer to the industry, here we have Michael, who is a strategic data analyst. And his comment, I did like it. You've actually made sales territory design as simple as Microsoft Paint. This is an absolutely incredible tool for creating territory mapping. And he saw it as a great tool to be used not only for the initial design, but for ongoing maintenance and analysis of sales territories. And then we have Molly. In the past, she's used all of the alignment tools. She used to work for a large pharmaceutical company in the US. And she said AlignMix is definitely the best territory mapping solution. And the emphasis that she made, which really resonates with our design philosophy, is just so easy to use and user-friendly. So that is some comments from people who have used the tool and maybe used other tools in the industry. Now let's talk a bit about the launch offer. And we've done this in conjunction with MapLogic. I guess before that, it's probably worth saying the different versions of AlignMix. There is a standard version of AlignMix for the UK, and there is a professional version. And the standard version is actually free, and you can use it free. You can do, it has a lot of functionality. It has more functionality than any other free territory design tool on the market. So you can create unlimited territories. You can use the touch align, which we saw. You can access all the training. You can even do the account overrides and plot all those accounts. What you can't do is you can't do the thematic maps. You can't do the charts. It doesn't come with the latest postcode boundaries. It comes with boundaries that are around about 5 years old. It doesn't get any postcode updates as well. You can only use it with one data set. So if you had, say, population in each postcode, you could do that, but you couldn't have population and sales. You can have different customer types, so the different shapes. In this case, we had Asda and we had Dolland and Aikens and Vision Express and all those. You can actually only have one in the standard version. You can't create districts or regions. You can't have multiple territory labels. So in the example I gave, I showed sales and number of accounts. You'd have to pick one of the two. You also can't do the cleanup of the alignment, and you can't do the batch export, which I did at the end. It does also come with a nag screen. It only nags you once a week. Now, that isn't present in the professional version. So that's the difference between the two. As far as the launch offer is concerned, we've done this with MapLogic. The standard price for the professional version is £995, and that's per user per year. And it is a 1-year license that includes all updates to the software and to the underlying geography. Now, as part of the launch, we're giving a 20% discount, so that brings it down to just under $800 at $795. We're also offering, and this is where Richard's expertise comes in, 1-hour free consultation to get you up and running with your data. And I'm sure you'd have some questions about exactly how your data can be best used within the AlignMix Professional Edition. And that's what that really is for, that 1-hour consultation. Now, as well as that, MapLogic really specializes in census data. They have some of the best. They've cleaned it up. They've made sure it maps perfectly to the territories, the postcodes in AlignMix. There's 183 series, and there are sort of 16 themes of data, whether that's household data, population data, ethnicity, or whatever. Now, that normally retails for £495 plus VAT. as part of the launch, it is actually going to be included. So $795 gets you the demographic data and AlignMix for 1 year. And it's, as you can see, it's already baked into AlignMix. So that's a pretty good offer. So just to summarize, what you get as part of the launch offer is top quality census data, 1 hour consultation, and a discount of 20% from the first year. Now, this offer is only applicable until the end of the month, 31st of August, 2016. So if you are interested, drop us a note, or you can go onto the MapLogic site, and there it's readily available. So with that, are there any questions? Now, I'm going to try and open it up. Bear with me. Audio connections. So, anybody have any questions? Now, Joey, did anybody come up with questions as I went through?
Yes, I've got a couple direct messages. One of them, if you can go back to the AlignMix software, is there a way to delete data that you've imported into the software?
That's a good question. So there's different ways that you can do that. You can just data definition, you can actually delete series. So if you had a series, you could just delete it as the whole series. You can also, let's have a look at, say, a lasso. So if I lassoed some territories here, you can actually delete those accounts. You could filter them and then delete them. Let's just try. So that's deleted the whole area. Of course, you can undo that as well. Good question. Any more?
Yep, a couple more. There's another question regarding sales reps. What happens if a sales rep leaves? Is there a way to delete those sales reps off of the software?
Yeah, in the edit sales rep data, you can sort of pick a sales rep. This is where you define whether they're male or female. You can change their home location, or you can actually delete them. So yeah, that's another good question.
Okay. Next question is regarding your account segments that have been imported. Is there a way to only show some of them? And if I wanted to, can I delete some of those accounts off of the map?
Yeah, so I had to go through it very quickly, but if you configure layers, on the configure layers tab, you can configure these as you like. Suppose independents are huge, so maybe you don't want to see independents. Then you can just toggle them off, and now you only see the other segments. Okay, that's cool.
That actually brings us to another good question that kind of segues into that. Can you customize your rep icons? So let's say you wanted to map just manufacturing plants or something like that. Can you change the way the icon looks?
The icon?
For sales reps.
Yes, you can. And this is particularly relevant for a franchise location. So you can change the icon. Suppose you had a warehouse location. You can then change it so that that icon reflects, and there are hundreds of different icons that you can use. But that might be, say, the center of a franchise location or franchise territory, and that just makes it more applicable if you're not doing actual reps. So yes. Any more?
Okay. I got one final one, and it's about importing additional data. So if you've currently imported sales for 2015, is there a way that you can import 2016 data without overwriting the initial data set you imported?
Yeah, that would be, you do that. Let's just do a dummy one. So let's assume that you wanted to import potential. So you've got ID. ID. You've got, and I'm just going to do postcode. and you've got account data sales. So imagine this is the next year's. So we can create a new series. Now sense that you're importing data and you've already got data in the system. And you can create a new series, or you can overwrite a different series. So if I just created the series, it would now have sales and sales. So sales and sales, and of course they're the same. But if you'd imported new sales, you could actually overwrite the old sales as well. Okay, well, many thanks everybody for attending. And as I say, the offer is only open until the end of this month, 31st of August. And if you do have any questions, please send them to either myself or Richard. Probably the easiest thing is to go to the website, MapLogic, and there you can maplogic.co.uk, and there's a hyphen in there. And there you can contact us and ask any questions, and we'll do our best to answer. So thanks once again, and hope to speak to you soon.